Hey everyone, um, my name is Collin, and I am here today to share with you all the amazing work that God has done in my life. So, tell you a little bit about myself and some background. I grew up in South Jersey. I grew up in a Christian home. Both my parents devoted followers of Jesus Christ my whole life. And I actually went to a Christian high school myself, and I actually went on to Christian university, specifically Liberty University, as you can see there, for my undergraduate degree. So I definitely grew up in a Christian home. Was educated in a Christian environment, but I was a Christian by association. It was never personal in my life. Christ's work on the cross meant nothing to me until later on, at the outset of my late 20s. But growing up, things weren't always perfect in my house. Growing up, we had a lot of challenges as a family. My younger brother, he was born with severe anxiety disorder, and my mother has had some pretty serious health issues all throughout my childhood. So my dad really was not only the provider of the home, but also he took upon himself taking care of our family. The challenges for my parents were very frequent, and they always were. It seemed they were always going through, a difficult time. It seemed like so. From my perspective, growing up, I knew that they were Christ followers, that they loved God and Jesus, but I never saw the benefit of following God in their lives because they always went through issues. It seemed, with life challenges. But what I do remember growing up is that despite the challenges, during every situation, they always prayed. They always praised God. They didn't waver. They were always committed to Him, despite the challenges, and that kind of stuck with me in a way. Like, how could they keep believing and keep going to Christ, God, Jesus? How could they keep trusting with all that they're going through? I mean, that just didn't make sense to me. So that proved to be seeds in my heart, later on that would harvest a part of my journey. So pretty much went to college, left home, went to college, kind of went a little crazy, really started entering the party lifestyle. And then after I graduated college, I got out onto my own. I moved to Philadelphia. I lived downtown in Philadelphia, and I tried to keep the party going in a way, after college. And it wasn't until I got out on my own and into adulthood that I really started noticing that I wasn't happy. Growing up in college, I was kind of distracted, being new to the adult life and studying. But then once I got out on my own and really faced life, I realized that I'm like, man, I'm just not happy. I'm not happy. I don't know what it is. I keep partying, I keep having, hanging out with friends and going on vacations and trips, but I was still unsettled in my heart. So got out. I graduated from school, by the way, with a degree in criminal justice. So I was pursuing law enforcement. But at the time I graduated, that's when the economy took a tank, and our military was being shrunk. This was back in 2012. So federal jobs, everything, nothing was happening for me. I was fortunate. I was working in a very high end restaurant in Philadelphia that was able to support myself and live on my own pretty comfortably in the city. So it was just a recipe, for disaster. I was a single guy, had a lot of access to money, just living wild, living crazy. But as time went on, my depression started to grow. My emptiness in my heart started to grow more and more. So what I did was I just partied more. I drank more. I dabbled in some drugs, just to numb that, thinking that I would find peace and happiness in a new relationship, or if I were to find that career I've always been looking for, which I wasn't finding it, but if I thought I could, I was in a lot of application processes, and I thought, man, if I just get that job, if I just go to this next happy hour, if I just go to on this vacation, this cruise, whatever, I'll be satisfied. But no, I was more depressed, and got into some in my mid 20s, a lot of heavy alcohol abuse in the city. Like I said, I started dabbling into drugs. Was very promiscuous. Had a lot of different partners and girls, and sometimes I would wake up in places where I didn't know where I was, a stranger's place, and um, yeah, a lot of situations too where I could have been easily killed. I was robbed once at gunpoint in the city, leaving a club late night. So yeah, I was definitely, you know, being protected, I believe, by God, because He knew what was going to happen. So as I got through my 20s, and my parents continued, we would talk. They love me, I love them, and they would continue to call me, and I would see them. They were just in Jersey, so it was an easy ride. But they would always plant seeds, always plant seeds. And then also seeds, I got saved at age 29, and the closer I got to my salvation year, 29, the more witnessing I started getting from random people. Random people. I remember one time, real quick story, side note, I was on a train and commuting to a job I had recently landed. I got a job in the construction industry around the same time of my salvation. It was a miracle situation, which I'll talk about in a bit, but my dad had a connection, and I ended up getting a pretty high superintendent position. And pretty much I was out on a construction field every day with around 300 men or so. So anyway, I was commuting to that job to Delaware from Philadelphia, and I took a train every morning. And same people, because it was a 5:30 a.m. train, so same people, through each train ride. And then one Sunday, this girl that has been in the car with me for the past couple months, she stood up at the end of the stop and turned around and walked past a bunch of people that were sitting, and came directly to me and handed me a tract with scripture, encouraging me to repent and turn to Jesus. And that made the hair stand up on the back of my neck, because there was a whole train of people that she walked past and came right to me, and I never met this girl before. So I knew that I knew something was going on. The Lord was drawing me. So anyway, moving back to my salvation experience specifically. So, after speaking with my parents, I thought one weekend I felt guilty. I was like, you know what, I'll do Dad a favor, and I'll give him a call, and we'll go to a church that I saw right a few blocks away from my house. Was feeling, I'll make him feel good. And I called him up, on a Friday, and I said, hey Dad, come pick me up Sunday. I found a church. So he was elated about it. And then he came and picked me up Sunday morning at my apartment. And then we were driving to church, and he pulled over and he started weeping, my dad. And it just so happens that week was the most difficult week that he's had in a long time when it comes to his job, his taking care of my brother, my mother, like I mentioned before. Pretty much I saw him, I was like, oh, there's another problem. But I never really saw my dad cry before. So he broke down right in front of me in the vehicle, and I didn't really know what to do. I just sat there and looked at him. And in that moment, he started to pray, and he lifted his head up to God, and he just reached up. And a combination of my emptiness and the witnessing that I've experienced, it was just a culmination of things. And when I saw that, I knew God was real. That a man could be that distraught and still, show allegiance to a God he can't see. I just knew in that moment that it was all real. I just knew it. I knew it. So we got to the church service, and lo and behold, there was a powerful testimony that happened that day. This woman, that she was a prostitute for 30 years, and she got saved. She gave her life to Jesus. She was a woman in the street her whole life, doing unthinkable things, and she was adopted by the God of the universe, and she was royalty. And she just explained how Christ transformed her life. And that testimony was for me that day. And I broke in that moment. So I could see in her, in that woman, that she had what I was looking for. And despite her sin, the Lord took her as she was. So in that moment, it wasn't a special prayer that I said. It wasn't a riddle. It wasn't a magic formula. I just repented. I broke. I waved the white flag and surrendered to Christ. And I turned to Him, leaving my life and turning to Him. I turned from my lifestyle and I turned to Christ in obedience and faith that His death, that He took my sin upon Himself at the cross, and that He's my only hope for heaven, because the perfect life that He lived is now credited to me, and I have a relationship with God. We as the created, we people, we are not settled in our hearts until we are made right with the one who created us. And so we're in a relationship with Him. That's what everybody craves. Everybody craves a relationship with God. And that's only through His Son, because God is just, and He can't be in relationship with somebody who isn't perfect. Sin can't be where God is, because He's the perfect judge. He's perfectly righteous. He's a judge, just like, we see criminals in court that deserve punishment. And if a judge let them off, we would be angry with the judge. He's not just, but God is perfectly just. So even though He's loving, He's also just, and His love doesn't outweigh His justice. So He's both perfectly. He's forgiving, loving, and He's just perfectly. So that creates a problem for us, right? Because I don't know about you, but I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. So because of God's perfect justice, He has to punish us. And that's where Christ comes in. Christ is God in the flesh. He came and He lived that perfect life, because only God could live a perfect life. A human couldn't. And then the punishment that I deserve, He took upon Himself at the cross. God's full wrath. And now that I have faith in that, I have Christ's work applied to me. That means the perfect life that Christ lived, God sees me as perfect. And now I can have relationship with Him. Now, what was lost in the garden is now restored. And I'm just so thankful for that. So church service, back to that. Sorry for that side, but church service, gave my life to Christ, and then, man, I wrestled that whole next day when I got home. That night, I wrestled. I believe it was with the enemy. I wrestled. And then the next morning, I get up, I go to work, and I was just controlled by something. I had patience for people. I had compassion. I had just love in my heart that I never had before. And then I knew I was different. I knew I was saved. I had hope. I had purpose. I had sorry about that. It's my phone. I had hope. I had purpose. I had love in my heart for people. And I was different. And to mention again, kind of to go back, kind of give you some context too, about a month or two before I got saved, that experience, I got a random job after 9 years of looking for a career. I got a random opportunity with a general contractor in Philadelphia as a construction manager, managing, hundreds of men every day with a team. And it was no construction experience, never touched a tool in my life, but I got the job. And wouldn't you know it, I got saved. And after I was saved, I was already in a perfect position to witness, because I was out in the field with these men. So that's what I did. 2.5 years. Man, my knowledge wasn't growing in the construction field, but the witnessing was growing, because God had different plans. So after 2.5 years of after I got saved, just amazing situations where men, these organic conversations would come up about the Lord and what He's done in my life. I knew that He had me there. It was like a mission field, because the construction field was foreign to me. But that's where the Lord had me, and it was difficult. And I thought, at the time, I thought, man, this is my career. This is what I'll do for the rest of my life. But my desire for ministry was growing in my heart as time went on. Ministry, like I knew, Lord, like I want to work for You with my life. You know what I mean? I didn't have a passion for any type of specific profession. I just had a passion for Him. So wouldn't you know it, 2.5 years of being hired in 2018, COVID hit, and the industry in the city took a huge dive. And I got let go randomly on a random day. I got let go from that job after being there almost 3 years. Got let go. And then after I got let go, well, after I got let go, I knew that the Lord was moving. I knew that this was of Him because I had been praying, Lord, I'm not completely happy with this job that I have. I'm thankful for it, but it's actually the same day that I actually broke down and prayed to Him, Lord, please do something, because I know that I want to do ministry with my life, and I know this isn't for me, this construction job. And wouldn't you know it, I got a call that same day from my owner, and he called me and he let me go because of COVID. The industry really took a hit. And yeah, with that being said, after that happened, I just knew I was completely walking on the water, faith-wise. Like, Lord, you're going to show me. You're going to open a door. I was living in Philadelphia at the time. You're going to show me something. But my lease was renewing. This happened in July. My lease was renewing in October. So I didn't have much time to move. I didn't have, you know what I mean? I thought the Lord was going to move me somewhere. So I didn't know. So I just waited. And then a month later, I get a call from my friend from college. We speak once a month. He's one of those friends that you consistently keep up with, and he always calls. And I let him know what happened, and he knew that I recently got saved like a couple years prior, and he knew I love the Lord. He's like, Collin, while you're not working, why don't you think about taking some classes or something like that? And I was like, you know what? I'm already in a ton of debt for my undergrad. I can't go to grad school. I don't have money. He's like, well, where you graduated with your undergrad degree, you could work there and they'll pay for your grad school. And then all of a sudden that idea just hit me in the face, and that's new, and I knew that's where the Lord was leading. I just knew it. I said, wow, yes, that's what I could do. So I was like, Lord, I'm going to pursue this. I'm going to apply to the program. I'm going to look for housing. I'm going to apply for a job. And if this is of you, all these doors will need to open within the next month, or I'm going to be stuck in Philadelphia with this lease. And wouldn't you know it, each door was open. I got into the program. I applied for a job in admissions, which they get thousands of applications. So I applied, and I was worried I wouldn't get a call. And then, out of the blue, the same week that I had the idea, and I prayed, Lord, open the door, after I applied to the program and got in, I applied for the job. I didn't hear anything for a few days, and I started getting worried. And then I prayed, and then I got an accidental text message from a friend that I haven't heard from in over 15 years. He was a friend of a roommate back at Liberty, but it just so happens this specific guy that I believe he sent out a mass text on his contact list, let everybody know that he's changing his number, but he didn't realize he texted me. And it just so happens this specific friend of mine that I haven't seen in years was one of the heads of the admissions department at Liberty. So, out of all the time to hear from that guy, haven't heard from him in 15 years, the same week that I got this idea after not seeing him, I called him, gave him my testimony, he made a phone call, he got me an interview. So I got a job, got into a program, I found an apartment, was in a U-Haul, driving down 3 weeks after I got this idea to Liberty. So, I know that's a very, very detailed and long story, but wouldn't you know it, God brought me back to Liberty, where pretty much my life of sin really started. And I couldn't wait to leave Liberty originally. I couldn't wait to leave. And wouldn't you know it, he brought me back. He brought me back. Now I work as an admissions counselor at the Welcome Center. As an undergrad student, I spent a lot of time in the dean's office. I was a big partier back then. I couldn't wait to leave Liberty. I didn't like it. I didn't like what they stood for. I wasn't a part of it. I couldn't wait to leave. I spent a lot of weekends at different colleges, Virginia Tech, JMU, for the lifestyle, the party. I didn't want Christ. But wouldn't you know it, now I'm back and I love it. I'm familiar with this town because I spent time here years ago, over a decade ago. So the Lord brought me to a place where the transition was easy because I was familiar. And I just love Liberty. I have such a passion for it because I am on board with their mission, training champions for Christ. I want people to become believers. So the Lord's brought me here. I just finished my first year of seminary, grad school here at Liberty. I have straight A's, all glory to God. He's just providing I got promoted at my job. I work now at the Welcome Center. I was started in the call center. I'm at the Welcome Center. I meet with families. I started public speaking through this job, which I've never public spoken before. So I public speak now at events, and I'm doing things I never thought I would. And I'm just on a journey, and I'm being sanctified. The Lord's cutting things out of my life. He's just doing so many things in my life, and my life was going nowhere before. My life was a dead end. My life was consumed with my passions, which just got me in trouble. Now I'm on the same page as my family. We're close. I just have hope. I have peace in my heart. Don't get me wrong. The walk, there is trouble and there is challenges, but there's an anchor. Nothing's pointless. Everything is purposed. And the gift of God truly is Jesus Christ. It really is a gift. And I'm living proof. It's a gift because it's something that we don't deserve. I didn't deserve it. I didn't earn it. The Lord found me in the gutter in Philadelphia, living like an animal, living sinful, alcoholic, dabbling with drugs. And man, I was just a womanizer. That's where he saved me. That's when he died for me at my lowest. And now I have a hope. I have new life. I have respect for myself. I have self-control. I have just hope. And I still can't get over what he's done and his son for me. And I just thank you for listening to this story, and I hope it blesses your heart. God bless you guys. Bye.